What is going on, everybody?
What up?
What up, man? How's it going?
All right.
Right on, right on.
Yourself?
Doing pretty good. Got back from the gym. Feels good.
Hell yeah.
Now got to do some studying, learning, right? Every night.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
You working still?
Yep. Here now.
I know you work pretty late, huh?
10, 15, something like that.
Damn, bro. Get that
Yep.
money. Right on.
Crumbs.
Yeah. Dang, Alex is even in here. It's midnight over there, bro.
Bro, it's 12 o'clock. I can't miss this.
We'll
As
make
much
it.
as I don't want to, my eyes are Chinese, but still.
Dude, like, trust me, like, my eyes hurt every day staring at these charts.
My eyes were so blurry today, I couldn't even see my numbers. It was like that bad. Like, geez.
Yeah, I take like a 15-minute nap and then go to the gym, come back, relax, and then get ready for another session. It's nonstop, bro. Nonstop is what we do. But I'm glad. So the question was from Gertie, which is actually a good point because I feel like that needs to be really gone over thoroughly on how I analyze these plays based on support and resistance, liquidity, and then also like finding out where the fake breakouts and fake breakdowns and how to identify them by looking at volumes and candles, right? And so let's go over that, and we'll go over different time frames as well because it seems like every time I talk about like a trade and I get this question is like, what time frame are you in? So I feel like that needs to be clarified. My trading style is scalping. So I'm zoomed in like when I'm looking for the trend or which direction I'm trading, I'm looking at the 1 minute, the 5 minute, and the 1 hour. And if I'm not convinced on any of those three that it's if I like it or not, I'm gonna look into daily. I'm gonna look at into like the weekly just to see the overall feel of the whole charts, right? So let's go over that, and feel free to just ask your questions. And I want to get this across as clean as possible, so you guys understand the the scaling in and out strategy, right? Has everybody watched that video that we did? Everybody here is familiar with what I'm talking about? The scaling in videos,
Yep.
how to save a bad trade.
Yep.
Yeah, I did that 4 times today from being negative 5,000, being negative 4 grand, 3 grand negative. Like, I was negative,
And
green, negative, and I applied that strategy and it worked.
yeah, and you were able to just, dig yourself out, not all in one shot, obviously, but strategically applying it, right?
Yep, yep.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. I'm glad. So it doesn't matter if you apply the strategy in paper trade account or in real account. The concept and the process is the same. And we emphasize on position sizing is more important than you trying to make that home run win, right? Because everybody's account is different. Like I could be trading a $100,000 account and you could be trading a $1,000 account. But if you put it into perspective as far as percentage, right? If I'm deploying, 2.5 to 5% of my account on my trades, like in relation to my account size, that's thousands of dollars, right? You can't compare your $1,000 account and say, oh, TJ deployed, 5 grand. I only got 1,000, so that means I'm gonna go all in, right? That's not the right mindset. You just have to look at it from a percentage perspective. And just to give you a perspective too, like my gains, like on a daily basis, is like tiny, like 1.5 to 2% even of my whole account, right? So put that into perspective. Whatever your account size is, and just calculate what is 1.5% or 2% of that account, and then think about that, right? Think about it's like, oh man, like if you have $1,000 account and you make, you know, 1% or 2%, right? Like in dollar wise, is insignificant, but what I want you guys to focus on is the process, because if you can understand the process, you can apply the same thing. Doesn't matter if you have $1,000 account or a $1 million account. You're gonna be consistent. Okay. So let's go over this. Seems like we got everybody here now. Um, let's take a look at. Let's call out a name. I want you guys to call out a name so that way it can kind of resonate with you, um, based on when I'm
Can,
analyzing it.
can I just clarify my question though?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when I was watching the mark, basically what I'm trying to get at is how can we identify the picture that the money makers are painting on the charts so that we can avoid the fake outs and ride the wave after they've filled or sold or whatever their position or whatever they're trying to manipulate and ride the move up or down.
Hmm.
That's how can we see their convictions rather than or in tangent with the patterns volume and all that stuff. So basically their mindset also with the charts.
Right. Um, just so to reference your question as well with a much better content. Have you listened to the podcast of the Confession of the Market Maker?
Not yet.
Okay. Let me pinpoint that real quick. Let me see if I can find that. It should be under the, let's see.
That's not the
This,
Mark Douglas. Oh, you said it was a podcast.
yeah, it was a podcast. It was like a YouTube video podcast. Let me see if I can find it real
Okay.
quick because that was very valuable content. Um, let
Because
me see.
obviously,
Books
like
and
he said, where
podcasts. Oh,
you can read charts all day and stuff, but
yep.
it just takes one person to get angry or mad or whatever and go, you know what, I'm gonna sell 1 billion shares and just fuck everyone.
Yeah. So I'm gonna tag everybody on this post here, and you can
That's
see it.
unpredictable though. You can't know
Yeah,
when that person's gonna freaking sell that or stuff. You just have to play your setup, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
of course, of course.
Yeah, one thing that comes to mind, if I can chime in for a second, I've been watching those videos too, and I think one of his like main points is kind of like what B-Man said, is that it's not about like each individual like one-on-one trade. It's more about like percentage
Siri,
out of 100 trades, 70% is going to be good, and we don't know when they're going to be like
right,
crashing the market. We just got to like take our reps in a
for
Yeah.
sure.
sense.
Exactly. So I tagged everybody on that YouTube videos, Confession of the Market Makers. So like your question is gonna be answered with this episode right here. But I'm gonna do my best to try to paint it as well, explain it within the charts to how I can translate that information, how I understand it. Okay. Um, but going back to what BMADS is saying too, is like you really don't have a guaranteed identification. It's more of a instinctive read once you have done enough repetition on like how the candles and the breakout behaves based on key levels, right? Based on catalysts. Like all those are gonna play in role, not just I'm gonna tell you look for this, right? Or look for this particular candle. Like it's not always gonna be the same, right? It's always gonna be per circumstance basis, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. So go ahead and call out a ticker symbol, and we're gonna try to use a live example.
I think Facebook like super gap down today, right?
Okay. Yep. Let's take a look. So Facebook,
I think
as you guys know, I like to look at the place of my decision making, whether if I'm long bias or short bias, based on the chart, right? On a 1 hour chart. So yesterday, or what was it? I think that was Monday or Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday or Tuesday. So I called out a play right here, right? I was like, oh, I even posted this on Facebook. Like this is a great pattern because you know what we've been talking about, right? The basket.
Hey
I don't
TJ,
think
Go
I
ahead.
don't think you should.
you want to share your screen?
Oh, thanks, bro. Damn. I'm just talking to the wall. Appreciate that. All right, so you guys can see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, bro. Awesome. I just checked my recording. I was like, hey, it's showing right there. Not on Discord. All right. Got it. So we got Facebook here. So after the earnings report, big sell-off, right? And so as a scalper, right? As a scalper, friend, and I'm going to talk from a scalper's perspective. This is not a swing trade. This is not a long-term investment. This is just based on price action, which is what your question is exactly. Okay. So the faster a candle drops, the greater the um the bounce. In in a normal experience that I've had scalping like small caps and whatnot, that's the behavior. Like whenever you have like, a rug pull or a skip up, like there's always that 50% pullback, right? In whatever directions it's going. That's what I scalp in. And that's how I make my money. And when people question my ability, like, hey, I don't see any range. It's like I play off of key levels, and the moment it responds to a key levels, I size up like immediately because I'm not looking for, a big move. I'm looking for just a reversal, right? And so with Facebook, with this drop right here, I don't know if you guys are using the volume profile as well. So I use the monthly volume profile. A lot of experienced traders use them as well. Um, so I use those as indicators to tell me like, okay, where's the next potential bounce? So let's just say we're gonna go on the daily, right? So after I look at the hourly, I see the patterns, there's potential bounce. I look at on the daily, and if you look on the daily, like there's a lot of consolidation right here. Okay, there's a lot of consolidation, so I know that this is gonna be like a traffic zone. It could have stopped right here as well, but obviously that was a big gap down. Okay, like it didn't stand a chance. But let's say when it gapped down, it stopped like around this area. Just know the behavior is going to be similar to this. Okay, and so right now this is proving itself that hey, it's holding. Right, I can even draw another support line right here. So it's holding, and then there's another key level right here. So just know that there's a lot of buyers at this area because the way this is holding, right? If Facebook was really that bad, this should continue to drop already. Considering the market sentiment as well, right? Like the rate hikes or the CPI numbers, it seems like today was like doom and gloom, right? And then another thing to pay attention to is the volume. Like look how much volume that is. Like if you draw a line there, like that exceeds everything else from down here on average. Like look at this. This is what Facebook's average volume is. Okay. So right now you have a lot of sellers coming in and you have buyers coming in, right? Because like the whole mindset of buy low, sell high, right? There's a lot more long traders than short sellers. Okay. So if they see this drop, it's like cheap discount, right? And when it starts to hold like that, I can look at the hourly, go back to the hourly, and like what we always preach about is this basket right here. If you apply like different kind of indicators besides the 10 and 20 SMA, you'll find that this kind of pattern right here is a bullish pattern, right? Or some people would call it like a cup and handles forming. And there's many different ways to call it. But overall, this pattern is bullish because it's basically flattened out right here. It dropped down into a major support level, and now the buyers is trying to take over. You still have a lot of selling pressure because, what's happening with Facebook with, they're shutting down their Instagram or what was that, Ukraine or something. They're not they're not going to be open in that states or country. So there's still a lot of negative pressure on it, but at the same time, there's people coming in to wanting to buy this up. The moment the sells stop selling, like guys, this is gonna pop, right? And as we know, like we know about gap fills. Like I've been talking about gap fills this whole time, and I've been pretty accurate on those. And this one has a gap fill that's just waiting for it to happen, right? Just waiting for it to happen. That's just the nature of the behavior of the stocks, right? We don't know when it's going to do it, but it will do it, okay? I promise you. As long as we hold key levels right here, okay? We have a lot of support zone. Um, Going back to like fake outs and what was the question? Hang on. Price action, right? And market makers perspective. Like if they have to unload like a position, like you have to think from like a big trader's perspective. Like if you have like hundreds of millions of dollars you need to offload, um, you're gonna you're gonna advertise the stock as as an attractive pattern, right? Like right now, right here. Like this would be a good example. This pattern is bullish for everybody. Now you have to ask yourself, like, why is it not popping up, right? Why is it not popping up? Because they can program an algo to paint this picture right here, and they can just sell into it. And what other traders that I followed says, like, they literally have um, algos that will trade to each other. They'll just you know, swap shares back and forth. It doesn't cost them anything because it's the same money flowing in their system, right? But they can paint this picture of like, okay, this is bullish. Now let's come in. Now the traders are gonna come in here. They're gonna get caught in between, and as they get chopped up, right? They're getting chopped up. They get stopped out and whatnot. More new traders keeps coming in until they get done selling. Okay. Now, let's say another bad news happens to Facebook, like, another country stops using their apps. Then what they're gonna do is instead of them trying to save their position, saying, "Hey, we're gonna spend $10 million to manipulate this level, so we can unload $100 million in position," right? It's a cost of doing business. But let's just say Facebook have another bad news of like another country stop using their app. They're not going to wait to manipulate this because other big hedge funds, big banks is going to look at the same thing. Let's unload it now before we run out of buyers, right? It's a game of fighting for the buyers. And I use the example of like uh in real estate, right? Like people are going to fight for the next buyer. Like if the market was falling, right? You're going to be like if you have 5 buyers and you have 10 properties to sell, you'd want to beat the other guys and underprice them and undercut them, right? It's a race to get to exit the position. I don't know if that makes sense from a real estate perspective, since I'm a real estate investor too. But that's how they manipulate the market. Okay? Like if you're holding the position and it's gonna cost you $10 million to prop this thing up, so you can unload your positions to this unknowing buyers, right? You're gonna do it. It's a cost of doing business. But if the true liquidity comes in, which is the other hedge funds and banks and whatnot, they're like, oh, we actually like this levels, right? It's not like they don't talk to each other, right? Just like you and I, we're talking about these. What makes you think that the hedge funds and the banks don't talk to each other when they're going to get in, right? They all know each other. So this is how they can move the markets. Okay. Now, as far as like fake outs, like what you want to do is the simple way I do it anyway is when a key level breaks out right here. So let's say it right here, right? This is a bull pattern. But what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a candle to break above like this, and it has to be with volume. Like it can't be some like little teeny volume like this because that's fake. That's not real liquidity of sellers. That's just algos trading shares back and forth. It's the same shares that's moving. It's not really new people coming in. Okay, this is making sense. So I wanna see a candle break even bigger than this actually, and I explained this on a smaller time frame. So I want to see a candle like spike up like this, and then slowly, you want it to slowly test that level again like this. Okay? And that has more conviction that it's gonna go to the upside. Okay? That has more conviction that's gonna go to the upside because there's not enough sellers to slam it back down, and there's actually buyers that's coming in to hold this up. Okay? And how you're gonna see that is you're gonna see wicks. You're gonna see wicks at the bottom of these candles, right? You're gonna see wicks down here because every time they slam it, they push it up. Every time they slam it, they push it up. So there's buyers right here. So that's a real, more likely of a real breakout. But let's say it did the same thing like that, right? and then the next candle just flushes down below that key level again, okay? And then it does the opposite. It does the grind up. It does this grind up, right? The next one is likely going to be a slam again, okay? Because they're painting this picture like, if for the unknowing buyers, it's like we're buying the dip, right? Buying the dip, buying the dip, but you're at a major key resistance level. Just don't forget that. You're at a major key resistance level. The next move is going to be a rug pull, okay? So, and you're going to see a long wick appear on this candle, and that's how you know it's a fake, right? They're faking you out because there's a lot of breakout traders, and breakout traders actually size in these situations, and that you get caught on this. And this is why also Brian talks about, like, you want to see this pattern on a major key level, right? This level has to hold, has to prove itself. Okay. The moment you get on the other side, you just, if you're still long bias, you have to wait till you get up here. You don't just like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna buy the diff, hope for long. You're gonna end up like getting slammed on. Okay. I don't know. Is that making sense?
Yeah, that's a great explanation, bro.
Yeah. Brian, you want to add anything to that? Let's see if he's busy.
No, not really. That's basically what I do. So
Yeah, and then like Brian, guys, he's more of a swing trading style, but his style is no different than mine as far as pattern reading. It's just his is a more of a bigger time frame, longer time to materialize itself. Mine is like, I'm a scalper. I'm in a 1 minute, right? I'm looking at the same explanation I just gave you when it comes to like key levels. Okay. I'm looking at the same key levels based on a 1 minute time frame. Which stock did we trade today, Alex, that was like doing exactly that? I think that was like SPX.
Yeah, I traded SPX, Apple, and then at the end, I took some puts on the dip,
Hmm.
Affirm.
Yeah, SPX was like such a great example on the breakout, because I think you were trying to trade. Um, let's see. It was I was explaining basically the stairs up, elevator down concept. So if you look at a lot of these little grinds right here, this should be a breakout, right? Because this is a resistance. We want to see like a big green candles like this guy, right? Because that's a breakout right here. That's a breakout, right? We want to see the same behavior when it comes to breakouts. But when it grinds like this, you get these, okay? Um, I think I don't know what time frame it was, Alex. I think you were trying to go long, and I was like, I don't know, I'd be careful because it's not really skipping up, and it's also late of the day already. And I was kept telling like you're gonna see a rug pull sometimes, and then it did that.
When you've got good examples to the short side there, kind of around 9:45, where it drops down and then grinds back up and then slams down again.
This part right here. Yeah.
Well, yeah, where it does the elevator down and then you were talking about it grinding back up,
Hmm. Exactly.
right?
It's a
And
it's a
then it
trap.
slams down again.
Is exactly a trap. Like you got your drop right here, and then they grind it up again. Like that's pure manipulation right there. And then if you SPX doesn't show volume, but volume will also confirm that this is going to be a high volume acceleration, and then the volume goes away, and then it just grinds, and then another volume spike down below. Like the volume spike should be picking up when this is starting to grind up. The volume should be increasing. Like the volume should be increasing, not decreasing. Okay, and that's how you can tell if it's going to be a high potential breakout. Okay, nothing is guaranteed in trading, so you always have the probability kind of ratio, and that's all you have to do in trading. Like, what is the higher probability, and what kind of thesis can you put together to like support your idea, right? If you don't have enough thesis to like layer to support your idea, then you shouldn't be in it, you know?
If you want to see the volume, you can go to SPY. It's basically the same exact chart, and it shows the volume.
All right. Let's see. and then I'll go over the volume profile that I use as well. So right here, okay, you see this? Like, look at this. Look at this level right here. Look at the volume right here. Okay, the volume is decreasing as the stock is going up. You see this? This is exact same level. Look, from here to here, decreasing. You see that? You see that? Okay, and then pretty much right here at the top, everybody goes away. Like, this should be a telltale sign. Everybody is like just panicked, just disappeared from the market because they know something or it was fake in the first place, and then whoosh, like basically the rest of the buyers went away and they have no more buyers. Now they have to sell it to everybody else. That's like, okay, you have a, you know, 445 seller, you have a 444 or whatever. But you see what I'm saying? Like, if there's let's just use an example. If there's 1,000 seller at 455 and there's 1,000 seller at 455.30, they're just gonna wipe through those layers, right? Because there's not enough buyers there, especially if they need to unload. And this is when we've been waiting for the CPI numbers, right? And I think that CPI, I don't even know when the CPI numbers came out exactly, but John was asking like, what the hell is happening
Came
to
out
the?
at so what actually happened today was the CPI
Hmm.
came out before market opened. That's why we dropped.
Hmm.
However, we recovered, so that was supposed to be bull. But then Bullard, the Fed chair or whatever is it, Fed president, said
Yeah.
they're going to rate hike by 1% by July.
Hmm.
And so right when he said that, the market just freaking cradled.
Yeah, accelerated everything else.
Yeah.
So like at this point, like whenever I see this type of drop, right, this sets a panic, right? And I explained this to before. It's like when you have a big red drop like that, you only have so much dip buyers, but the rest of them is also saying how far can this go, right? And then you mix that up with how far is the stock already extended in the first place. Like this run right here, you have to consider that you're below your like actually this is a better example. I use the boxing method, right? You find out your high and then where the consolidation area, boxing method. So you use the boxing method as far as like when it breaks below that, your next pop, you're using this as a ceiling, right? You're using that box as a ceiling, and that's exactly what it did. It touched right there, right? And this similar pattern that I'm sharing with you is you can identify the same thing on a 1 minute time frame. Like if you're a scalper, you can find the same pattern on a 1 minute. And let me show you an example. Okay. So now we're in a 1 minute. You can use the same boxing method right here. There's a consolidation and you have a highs and the lows. So the moment you fall below that, you can short against this box and you also have another range right here, right? So if you drag that across, you have a range consolidation right here, right? And then same behavior here at this level. When it got to that level, there was a supply, basically supply increase and dropped it. But this was obviously we talked about the 10 and 20 when the stock price or the price actions above the 10 20 SMA pointing up. This is likely a bullish momentum and a high probability pushing up further. Okay, even if the stock like broke below this, your probability of bouncing back up is pretty high. Okay, and I keep emphasizing on probability because nothing is guaranteed. So you can do the same thing right here. Okay, if you box that out, the moment you fall below that, you're scaring the rest of the bulls basically. The long bias traders, they're like, oh, F that, I'm gonna wait until a major support. So finding major support, you always want to go on the daily. Like you can't try to predict where is the real bottom on the in a smaller time frame. Like I like big drops like that, but if I'm gonna buy the dip, right, for higher probability, I go into the bigger time frame. Okay, so if you were to draw a line here, okay, then you start putting together your thesis of like where is it bouncing? Can it bounce here? Can it bounce here, right? That obviously that was a gap down, but that's all you can do. There's no guarantee in trading, but all you got to do is put your thesis together and can you support it based on the past charts, okay? And go back to the 1 minute. Okay, now you can see that this was the level. Okay, and then let's go over the volume profile. So how many of you are familiar with the volume profile? I should go on the hourly.
I'm getting a lot better with it. It helped me actually today.
Okay, so the volume profile, and again, I like to look at them on the hourly. The hourly is just cleaner. You can see the behavior in the pre-market and whatnot. So the volume profile is just basically so you have down below, you have your volume per shares, right? How many shares are traded per whatever time frame, like in a 1 hour, 5 minute, whatever, right? The volume profile tells you how long did it traded at a particular price, right? So in this case, you can see these spikes, right? That shaded area. Um, Let me see, just box them out. So if I can tell you last month, because I have a 1 month volume profile, this area right here had the most attention. Okay, it had the most attention. That means more money was exchanged right here than any other levels besides the next level up here, right? And so if you start paying attention to these levels, that's what's more important because the hedge funds, the bigger traders, they need liquidity. They need where people are hanging out. They need where the traders are at. They're not going to enter a massive position in like low activity area. Like they're gonna manipulate the stock so fast in whatever direction if they get in at these type of levels, right? Because the whole goal is to maintain an average price of whatever your entry instead of moving the stock up immediately, right? Because you're overpaying it for yourself and you're costing that move. Is that making sense? So they're gonna trade right here because if they enter right here, they're not gonna affect the stock that much as far as like if they're buying long and there's demand here or there's supply coming in this zone, then they can accumulate in this spot. They can start accumulating, thousands of shares or millions of shares depending on how much they're buying. And then they wait for the actual catalyst to happen. Whatever it may be, they know something. They always know something. Okay? Let's see. So I covered the fake breakout. So the fake breakout too, like I said, you wanna find, you wanna see key levels. You wanna see wicks, multiple wicks on the candle. So if a couple candles keeps trying to push up into like a major resistance level for a breakout, and you have a lot of wicks, that tells you there's a lot of supply right there, and everybody's selling into the pop. They're just selling into it. They're just selling into it. And then going back to the concept of you don't want to just scare the buyers by just slamming 1 million shares on the market, right? They're going to slowly feed it to you. They're just going to be like, come and get it. Come and get it. I'm ready to exit out of here, right? Because if they just dump it, they're not going to have a good average price on their sell, right? If they say, hey, let's average on the sell at like 473. If they unload it all at one time, they're just gonna crash this thing, and now their average is gonna be like 470, right? And that's a lot when it comes to like millions of dollars in position. So that's a fake breakout. That's why you got the levels has to prove itself, and the price action has to get above it because everybody else will pile on the upside. And then another way to tell there's a hidden seller up here is whenever it spikes up, let's say it did break out and it starts to do this, right? But keep in mind, if you have long wicks on these candles like this, there's a hidden seller up here. There's a one bad, and again, this is a key level. Let's say identify, and you can see this on the volume profile, okay? You can see that in the volume profile. If that was the case and it keeps like trying to push up, and you have long wicks at the top, somebody's unloading up here. Somebody's unloading. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to get caught on that dump like this, what happened here? Or do you just want to sit out and wait till it gets over this level and then look for the next behavior? The next behavior of bullish, you want to see wicks at the bottom of the candle instead of at the top. You want to see wicks down here, right? You want to see wicks like this after it gets over a major key resistance level if you're long bias, because this is telling you that there's buyers pushing it up every time it sells off, because now everybody's thinking, okay, this support right here is gonna hold, or at least they're thinking it's gonna hold for the time being, or whatever catalyst or conviction they have. Okay, I've just feel like I just unloaded a bunch of stuff on you guys. Let's open up for question. Does that make sense, Robert?
Yep, sounds good to me. Appreciate it.
Okay. Let's see. And then the next thing I want to go over is the time frames. The time frames. So let me switch different screen. Let's see here. This is going to be a little bit smaller screen, so hopefully you guys can see it just fine. Let's go to Tesla. Okay, can you guys see all this?
Yeah, I can still see it, but it's blurry,
It's
waiting
blurry.
to focus.
Oh no. Let me see my stream quality here.
It's
Video.
clear now.
It's clear now. Okay. Yeah, I have everything cranked up to max. Okay. So when it comes to scalping, so I'll look at the 1 minute, right? Ideally, the 1 minute. So I call this the trend starter. So the same explanation, right? If we're using this is almost like the same Facebook pattern. And here's where it materializes. Okay. So you have a consolidation right here. So I'll box that up. And the moment that it gets above the 10 and 20, right? After a sell-off like this, it's telling you that there's buyer demand right here. There's buyer demands. So when that breaks out above, I can confidently take that trade. Let me see if I can even expand this and make it bigger. Actually, let me do it right here. I'll just do this. That's better. I'll just compress this down. And again, just feel free to like slow me down if I'm talking too fast. So right at the open, okay? So remember, I talked about consolidation, right? And I don't typically like to buy when if I'm looking to go long, I don't want to go against the 10 and 20 SMA momentum. I want to see it get below the price candle, because now I use that as a support level, kind of like a buying pressure, because I look at I read the 10 and 20 as a momentum, right? Either be a selling momentum or a buying momentum. So the moment you get above it, I look at it as a buying momentum because now it's a support. And then once it indicates a breakout, then that's when I take. And this is exactly what the basket we've been talking about. The basket, you can find that in 1 minute, 5 minute, 15, 30, 1 hour, daily, whatever it is, it's the same pattern that we're looking for to take on the long side. The short side is the opposite. You look at this right here, right? It's the same concept. The moment it starts flattening out like this, and I like to see the 10 and the 20, it starts to curl up at the tip of it, right? Because we're gonna pretend like, let's say this doesn't exist here. This doesn't exist, right? The telltale sign that I can go off of that will help me, have a conviction is first draw the level. So if you're looking to short right around here and you don't know if it's going to continue to go up, draw a line here, okay? So that's yellow, and then go on a bigger time frame, like the hourly. go on the hourly and you look at this, okay, remember we weren't seeing this. Now you can ask yourself, what did it do at these levels? What did it do at these levels? Okay, what did it do there? It slammed down. And guess what do you see? What do you see on top of those candles? What do you see on top of those candles? Come on, somebody tell me.
Yeah, the wicks that it's getting sold.
Yeah, it's the same wicks. Exactly. At a key level. So let's say if you were playing right here and you're like wondering if it's gonna break out, just look at these levels right here and how many wicks did they have? What you want to see is the opposite. You want to see the green box, right, with the wicks at the bottom. You want to see the opposite responses from this. And then with that said, you have a higher probability that this is going to rip a breakout because all the stubborn short sellers are piling on right here and they don't know how to read that candle. They're going to get owned and squeezed, and that they're fuel to the upside. If you know how to identify it, you can ride that along. Okay. And you want to see a green candle. You don't want to see a red candle like this guy. Look at this guy, a big wicks at the bottom, right? But this is a red candle. Sellers are still winning, or yeah, sellers are still winning. You want the buyers to win if you want to go long. You want the sellers to win if you want to go short. Is that making sense?
Yeah, that does.
Okay. So like I said, you can see the same time frame or the same pattern on different time frames. So this basket right here, if I want to go long, I can find that on a 5 minute. It may not be the same spot, but I can find a setup, something like that. Okay. You see right here, starting a basket. Okay. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for just some hint. Where's my hint? Okay. I mean, you can find them in a 5 minute like this. I want to see a nice basket. Like that's when I know it's like, man, buyers are really winning right now. Okay. 15 minute. Okay, just to give you an example. That's why I really, oh, right here. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. Okay. You can start to see it right here. Okay, after a big sell-off, this is like beautiful right here. When I see a big sell-off, and then this is the next step. Okay, this is my process. So I go, okay, a big sell-off. Now I want to know where the bottom is. Now I can say the buyers are starting to have controls. Let's say I don't know this back here yet, and I just see this, right? The buyers are starting to take control, and then what I do is draw my support right here, the bottom of that. I don't know what's to the left yet. I don't know what's to the left. Let's just draw a box or the line there. Let's turn this to purple so that way I can tell which one. Okay. Now let's go to the bigger time frame. I like hourly if I see something on the hourly or sometimes daily. Okay. Let's go on the daily because I'm not seeing much on the left. Okay. Well, there you go. Right? There's a heavy consolidation right here. Okay. And then your next support level are these guys right here. Another box zone. Right? And again, I'm going to emphasize there's nothing guaranteed, but all you're doing is you're trying to put as much layer of conviction to whatever direction you're going to trade. You're just layering your conviction. If you can't have enough conviction, you shouldn't be in the trade. Okay? And there you go. We know that at that level, the last time it got to this level, okay, because all we're looking is behavior. The last time it got to that level, it freaking shot up. So what do you think people are thinking here? Right? That's why buyers came in. And look at that wicks. Look, you see that big wick? If I saw that, right? That let's say the day close and it like it's a big ass wick and I know there's support right here. Like I'm likely to take that trade the following day. Brian, that's like his perfect hammer green candles pattern play. All day what he would have taken that trade. Right, Brian?
Every day, bro.
Every day.
Every
Close.
day.
He'd literally take that trade and go back to sleep.
Yep. That's what I've been doing actually, because I'm not scalping. That's why I hop in at like random times, like 9 a.m., 8:30. I'll just buy and then I'll just wait until next day.
Yep. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. And it just takes time, you know. It takes time to see all this naturally. It's not just one go and you immediately like memorize it.
One thing is naturally seeing it, and you pointing it out. Like I've been on this already quite a bit. I'm seeing everything. Now it's implementing that into the actual trade and the psychology of you actually initiating now that the move is a whole nother ball game too, and then uh, making that trade
Mm-hmm.
or vice versa, exiting out of that trade once you're in and it doesn't go your way.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it takes time.
All right. Well, that's all I got for now. Let's go over some questions. What do you guys need help with? Does that make sense? Or what do you need clarifying with?
Just a question that I got. Do you do more like for your setups and stuff? Do you do more for looking for breakouts like from the box, or do you do more like the reversal? Like, okay, I'm waiting for it to key level reverse or key level breakout, and then I get in, on that breakout. Like, what do you
Hmm.
do both of that? I guess. What's your kind of prime?
It's I do a little bit of both. So naturally I'm a scalper, so I have a tendency to have anticipation rather than confirmation. So I'll have more of a tendency of anticipation to take this trade right here. But let's say like the this this level here. Hang on here. Let's say this is the level it's currently at, right? The top hasn't set yet. Like this part right here is not in yet. But I have identified this level, the 942.50 is a key resistance. Let's just say if it matches anything on the hourly. So yes, it does, right? So this is what I would do. I'm like, okay, I know that this is behavior wise from the past, it sold off right there. So I will have the tendency to anticipate it because as a scalper, I know I can get in and out. So I'll have the tendency to take the trade right here, and I want to see the behavior that I'm looking for the short side. I want to see get pushed up, and I'm okay pushing, getting pushed up a little bit, and I want to see wicks. Okay, the moment it falls below that line again, and likely like a better red candle, that'll give me a better conviction, and that's when I start sizing in. And then I'll probably fully size in like when it falls below like a box range, right? And trade that with a bigger position. So that's how I kind of scalp my trades. So I would use this little consolidation as like potential resistance. And then of course we know that on a bigger time frame, 942.50 has been rejected there several times. If I start seeing green candles starts to climb up with big wicks at the bottom, then I'm likely just going to size down and wait for the confirmation, which is the confirmation for me would be like a big red slam candle. Okay. And then I'll be like,
Say,
okay,
say you take that trade on the top right there. Where would your target be for the bottom? Like, you don't know that it's going to continue going down the rest of the day.
as a scalp, this
You
this would be my next target right here. You see
just, yeah,
this?
so that we're consolidated right there.
Hmm. Yeah, I literally I respect these levels. Like I don't hope to slam further below that. Like if you look left, I would even respect these levels right here too. I would respect those guys, right? Because at the end of the day, you have a bullish momentum and you could have a lot of dip buyers, which it did. It did bounce. But then I know my stop is up here somewhere with the candles presenting itself. The long wicks at the bottom, green candles, stair climbing up, right? Because the next thing it's gonna do is gonna squeeze up. It's gonna pop. The moment it pops, that's a confirmation for me that there's people getting squeezed. Okay, as long as the candle doesn't have a long wicks at the top. If it pops up green candle and immediately slams back down, that gives me a long wick at the top. then what does that tell me? There's seller weightings up here. There's seller weighting. Okay. That's it. You just rinse and repeat that on any time frames. You could go in a daily as a swing trader. Like you can't scalp looking at the daily, right? Or you can't really scalp looking at the hourly. Like you have to scalp in like 1 minute. I know a scalper that scalps in 10 seconds. 10-second candles. Insane. But hopefully that helps out.
Yeah, definitely, that's good.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
I've got a question. It's unrelated to what we've been talking about, but on the app, can you um, send an order without having to review it and confirm it? Like, can you just hit like an auto send on the app?
Ooh, that's a good question. I haven't had the chance to really discover that, but that would be nice. Like kind of like a speed, like basically order template already, and you don't have to confirm
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Because like sometimes it's like I get left behind because I hit it, and it's like it's already jumped up a cent, and now I'm waiting, and it takes off, right? And now I'm chasing it. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
that's the unfortunate side of I mean, not having like an auto send or like a template that you can just reuse over and over and just go straight to the trade instead of confirming.
hmm
That would be nice, especially for scalping. 'Cause-
exactly. Yeah, I couldn't figure it out in the app, and then didn't know if you guys had figured it out already. So
Yeah, I've just accepted the delay, and I just have to be mentally prepared and anticipation to just like sit there and wait, or I won't get filled. Like sometimes I've even had
hmm
to chase an exit because it wasn't filling. Like, is it filling?
exactly.
No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
Like with scalping stocks, is you know it right on the spot whether you got filled or not. There's no like hoping. Like on stocks, if I put a sell order and it doesn't go through, I immediately hit cancel and try again. And I do that with the hotkeys. So
yeah, yeah. The exit is when it really hurts, right?
yeah.
Like especially when it pops up and you try to get it, and then now it's dropped down, and you lose some profit.
hmm
It's
Yeah.
that double tap.
Yeah, the downside of like I guess it's kind of like pros and cons, but we always recommend that you sell into the strength because the price is coming to you, right? It's
Right,
coming to you, and sometimes it even gets just a quick uh, little price spike on your contract price because of the anticipation of that volatility. So if this spikes right here, like I'm already anticipating to sell like before into my resistance level. Like if I have
right.
identified a resistance zone, as it gets near there, I'm already in like the sell order. I'm ready to go out. So it's the same thing with my entry. I tend to anticipate rather than confirm.
hmm
So and then I just anticipate, get in, and then wait for the confirmation and then load up.
Got it.
Cool. Brian, you got anything to add? Okay. Marty?
Nope. Sorry.
Yeah, you good.
I didn't realize that's me. Yeah, no, that's good. I usually just sell into strength because it's a better feel. Like, so when you hit the mid button, it actually feels, and it's easier to sell when it's going up than it's going down because people usually did it down, and now you're chasing the mid to come back down to you. So
Right. Exactly. Cool. And magnet? Makes sense?
Yep, more good.
More good is good. Okay. Well, that's all I got for tonight, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. It's Friday, Lotto Friday. So it's going to be high risk, high reward. If you're not ready for that, buy the next week's contract. All right.
high
Uh,
calls, SPX calls on the gap down.
yeah, I want the market to gap down, not like before the market opens. Like a gap down and then a consolidation. Like you want to see this pattern right here. Like right before the market opened, this is beautiful, beautiful setup right here. If you see this setup right here before the market opens tomorrow, believe it, I'm gonna load up to the upside. Okay? And of course, break to the downside is just below that. And so you have a high risk or low risk, high reward in this situation. All right. So tomorrow is buy the dip. Cool?
Yep.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, bye.
See ya.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.